Good evening, and welcome to the second edition of Virus on Parade. Our guest tonight did not have a plan to go into theater at an early age. As a matter of fact, he never even thought about going into theater of any kind. He felt he couldn't and still live in the neighborhood where he grew up. Theater really didn't interest him. In fact, his senior year of high school, his girlfriend asked him if he was going to audition for the senior play, to which he replied, "Yeah, right, no way." Well, his girlfriend did, and she got the lead, and he didn't even go see her in the show. Years later, a dear friend and his wife asked him to audition for a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at the LJCC. He went, and he loved it. He's been performing in town ever since. He's been in over 62 productions with such companies as Park Players. Of course, I would list my own first. The Virginia Sanford Theater, Theater Downtown, ACTA, Leeds Arts Council, South City Theater, Hoover Library Theater, TNT, BFT, Homewood Theater, and Red Mountain Theater Company. Basically, he's worked with almost every company in the Birmingham area. And if I didn't mention you, just let me know in an email. He was also involved in local film productions. And I'm thrilled to say that I've gotten a chance to direct him on more than one occasion and almost killed him with one production. Please welcome Howard Green.
Hey, you nearly killed me. William the Bard, that nearly took the life out of me. That was the most fun, but man, every night I would leave that whole rehearsal process exhausted. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
And one of the most fun times I've ever had working on a short show, because it was only an hour, but boy, was it fun. Thank you so much for being here tonight and giving me your time and being part of this project. I don't know who all is going to be on it, but I keep getting requests in, so I'll just keep coming up with silly questions. And really, it's for me more than anybody else, just a chance to spend time with folks that I know and friends and talk to them. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tell us about your first production. What do you remember the most about it?
Oh, my first production, it was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at the Jewish Community Center. As I said, I had never thought about doing anything like that. That was just nothing that was on my radar. And a young guy that I had watched grow up at my church, Brent Hutchins, who was a fantastic singer. And we did a lot of, Easter and Christmas musicals together there. And he's always had a huge influence on me personally. He and his wife, Kim Hutchins, who was a really big deal in Birmingham Theatre, they were going to do the co-leads in the production. And Brent was going to be his first show. So Brent said, "Man, won't you come and audition?" And I was, no. And he kept, as they auditioned, as they were casting the show, he kept calling me, and "Man, come on, you got to come down here." Really, I have no interest in that. And so finally he called me one night and he said, "Look, there's a small part still available. I think if you walk in without falling through the door, I think you'll get it." So I thought about it and I went down, and it was the part of either the baker or the butler. I can't remember now, but I loved every minute of it, and I was hooked from that point.
And what wonderful people to work with for your first show.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Your second show was Anything Goes at Leeds. What are some of your favorite memories of that show?
Well, besides it took 3 guys to get me in a kilt. Man, that thing was tight. But yeah, one of the big songs, numbers that we had to do, I had to wear a kilt. I played Sir Evelyn Oakley. And it took 3 of them to pin that thing on me. So aside from that, the ending of that show, Don Garrett directed it up at Leeds. And, the ending where the band comes in with their instruments and they start playing, we all came in through the theater, through the house, to the stage in band uniforms with our instruments. And we put the horns up, and right as we're going to start blowing some horrible notes, he had us take out kazoos and start blowing those. And the look on the audience's face every night was priceless. It was a really good ending, I thought Don come up with. It's a fun show.
What challenges you as an actor or a singer, and what kind of push do you enjoy the best when it comes to stage work?
What pushes me? Well, if it's a musical, I guess learning the music, seeing which songs I'm in and which songs I have, and if there are any solos, learning those, and of course, musical or straight, learning the lines. But I guess what pushes me or challenges me is, I always look at this at any role, every role. It's you have a blank canvas, and I'll read it and I'll try to get a feel for the character, and I'll put what I think is going to be this character needs to be or how this needs to flow. I'll put it on the canvas. And then if you've got a really good director, they'll either bring you back or, or push you forward with that. It's always, that's my challenge, is to create the character and then see how it lines up with how that particular director wanted it to be or would like for it to be. And sometimes, I've had a couple of directors over the years say, well, I never thought about that approach. Let's go with it. But most of the time it's like, no. no, but it's present company excluded. But that's always a challenge, because I've done more musicals than I have straight plays, but I'm not, I can sing, but I'm not a belter. I'm not one of those that can knock it to the back of the house. I'm just not that. I don't have a strong voice. I'm not a Lucas Petke. I'm not one of these that can just, take the roof off. And I have to, the songs that I do, musicals kind of put more stress on me really than a straight play because, of the singing parts.
Very cool. How do you prepare when you go to audition for a show? And do you like the audition process?
No. I don't mind an audition if it's just a read from the script, a cold read. I don't mind that at all. But when they say they want you to do a monologue, and sometimes, they want you to do a comedic and a dramatic, and it's finding the right one that you think would be appropriate, or and the same with the song, finding the right song, because I've been told before, it was a good audition, but the song, you need to change songs on that. I've been told that before. So that's always a challenge, so I much prefer just a cold read from the script, But what I do like about the process, once it gets going, is, they'll give you the sides to read, and you read them, and then the director will sometimes say, all right, think of it this way, let's go this approach. And you're like, oh, and you go back and try it again. Because that, first of all, that tells me as an auditioner, this is a pretty good director here, and he wants to see if I can take direction, and then it's going to show me, well, I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he means by that. What do you want me to do? But that's, I guess for me, that's the good things out of the process. But overall, you get up there. I don't think I ever audition well. I get up there and I'm thinking, just cast me and I'll do the best I can. But I hate the audition process.
I don't think I don't know of any actors that really just enjoy auditions, because it's nerve-wracking. You don't know what they want. And if they've seen me, they already know I only have one song, one comedic, and one dramatic monologue that I'll ever do. If you've seen me audition once, you've seen me audition for everything. That's it. I'm done. How many film and video productions have you been involved in, and do you have a favorite?
Well, I've done one film years ago called Lifted. It was from Alan Hunter Productions. It was, in fact, it went on to it had the guy in it. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name now. He was in, is it Billions or not Billions? He's in one of the big HBO series now, Meat Hook. I can't think of his name. He was in this. And the funny thing about that is it was filmed over here close to where I live in Morris, and I was Carl, the postman, the mailman. And the director, they give me my little stack of letters, and I was delivering the star. He was an ex-Marine, and they were calling him up to go back out to active duty. So I walk into he's a mechanic, and I walk into this garage to hand him his mail, and in that mail is his recall letter. So we did the take 15 times, So then they said, if you would go to your position 1, be right there. And I said, okay, I need my props. I need my envelopes. And they're like, you need what now? I said, my props. And they said, if you'll go to your position 1, we'll get it to you. Okay. So I went out there and I was standing by the guys with the lights and shades or whatever, and forever. If the director says, and action. So I walk in and I walk up to the guy, the star, and he says, "Hey, Carl, you got anything in that bag for me?" And I said, "No." Where's the mail? I said, "That's what I was trying to tell y'all. I didn't have my props." And they're like, "Well, you wasted a cut." So anyway, they give me my props. So clearly, I haven't done any other film projects since then. But I've been able to do some of the It's a Southern Thing and the SEC shorts, and we've had a ball with those. My favorite, I guess, was the Unsolved Mysteries, where we did a spoof on that a year or so ago. It's a lot of fun. They're great people, great folks.
Oh yeah, the local film crews we have in town are wonderful. So, other than acting and singing, what gives you the most joy in life?
Well, I guess the standard answers, visiting with my family. My mom will be 89 this September and still acts like she's about 49. I have two nephews that I love, 23 and 21, and my brother and his wife. Spending time with them, and you just don't feel like you see them enough, but spending time with them, and I guess any time on the beach is good time. I can go out on the beach and just forget my own name. I love being there. Singing with my church choir, singing a solo with my church choir behind me, that's an awesome feeling. Just your basic run-of-the-mill stuff.
Well, and this is off script, but one of the things I love about working with you is your faith. And the fact that you bring that to whatever character you're playing, and you bring that to all of the rehearsal processes. And that just makes it a joy.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. It's a cornerstone of my life. Yep.
What do you consider your first lead role in a production? And how did it feel to have the first lead in the show? And tell me about that.
Wherever Holly Dykeman is right now, she's saying, "Don't tell it, don't tell it, don't tell it." Oh, gosh. My first lead was a delightful show called Phantom of the Opry.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I knew, and as all of us did in that cast, when we had our first read through, we closed that script. Nobody said a word. We all knew this is going to be bad. This is bad. This is really bad. This is a new level of bad. And I guess what made it even worse is that here I am, the male lead, and the girl that was the female lead. Oh, the female lead was 22 years younger than me.
Yeah, oh, nice.
So that was a good fit. Yeah, actually. It was just a bad show. The man that wrote it, he was the writer for Gilligan's Island and the Brady Bunch, but this was not good. And in fact, one of our patrons came opening night when the writer was in town and told the writer at at intermission, she said, "You need to throw this in the garbage and start over." It was that bad. And I remember, I think it was Valerie Lemons and Kimberly Kirkland. They came like twice to see it. And after the second time, I said, "Well, y'all really like this?" And they said, "We're just here to see if it really was that bad." Oh. It was bad. Whenever I bring it up around Holly, she's like, "That's the show that will not be named." It was well.
And on that same lines, have you ever been part of a show that you felt would be a surefire hit, but did not bring in the audience you expected? And have you ever been part of a show that you thought this will never work, but the audience loved it and bought into it?
Yeah, let's see. Several years ago, again at the LJCC, we did a production of My Favorite Year. I love the show. It's still one of my favorites. And I remember we had a great cast. It's where I met Sean Reese. Let's see, Barry Austin choreographed and staged the thing for us. Hal McIntosh directed it. Kim Demetrovich, Tracy Nicholson, Regina Harbor. It was a great cast. And I really thought this was going to be a great show. And I know we ran it the standard 2 weekends, and we probably had a total of 12 people that saw it. It was bad, and it was really bad attended. I thought it was a great show, and was
The music for it's wonderful.
music. Yeah, it was great, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. The other way around, let's see, that I didn't think was going to be a hit, and it was. Well, probably Death by Chocolate at ACTA, directed by, who directed that show? Let me think.
That's a show that must remain unmentioned.
Still a great show. But man, me and Greg Hively, we had really too much fun on that one. But that one, I think, for a while, it still remained one of their biggest money makers, whether you like it or not.
I know.
And and I guess when we did a production a couple of years ago of the Sunshine Boys, which got off kind of to a weird start, you remember? But anyway, it turned out really selling well.
Oh yeah,
and that was a big surprise, a sweet surprise.
And that show, as a director, turned out to be something completely different than what I envisioned it when I started the project. It turned into a beautiful little story that I loved. I enjoyed watching it every night.
Yeah, it was great. Oh yeah, yeah. But it turned out to sell. We played the last. Didn't we do that? Did we do that 3 weekends? I think we did it.
Maybe. I can't even remember. I'm just getting old and forgetful.
Yeah, it wound up selling much better than I think we thought. Without the cat sounds in it.
Did I miss the cat in that show?
Surely
I put it somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure you had Stephen Ross put it in somewhere.
I always have it on a hotkey. I've just told him anytime you want, just hit the C on your keyboard. And Howard walks on stage, hit the C button.
I hate cats.
We've even tried to figure out in the shows we just come to see you in. We'll just play it from the audience. Oh, mercy. Who's the favorite director that you've ever worked with?
Well, I have to say Jack Mann at the top of that list. Jack was wonderful. I don't think I could have ever. I know I probably wouldn't have had a shot at doing some of the roles, the musicals that he did, Damn Yankees, Gypsy, Hello Dolly. Had it not just been for him, he just would put me in them. He was a great guy. He was an amazing guy, actually. His notes, when he would give me notes, especially, he'd say, here's what I need you to do. Now, I'm not an actor, and I can't tell you how to do it, but this is what I need you to do for me. He would just be hands off and let you take it, and then he'd bring you back and give you great direction when needed. But he was wonderful. Janelle Cochran is another one. I adore Janelle. Some of the best stage advice I've ever gotten was from Janelle. Keith Cromwell, I've always said Cromwell is one of the best musical directors around. In fact, 2 of the shows I did for Red Mountain, he stepped in and made them what they were,
Oh, wow.
Where they were going and what they wound up. He's brilliant. Tawny Stevens, I've done a couple of shows for her. She's great. And of course, this guy named Clay Boyce, of course.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was not just hey, show your appreciation for the person doing the interview.
But this wouldn't have aired had I not said it.
I've just been lucky enough to work with you and steal you for some shows that have ended up being some wonderful productions, some of my faves that I've worked on. Are there any roles that you have on a bucket list that you want to do?
Not really. None that I can think of. No, I don't know. But I'll probably think about 15, after this is over. But right now, I don't really. I've been very fortunate to play some really good roles. Now I realize as I get older, now 60 next week, that they're gonna the kind of the parts get a little limited and hopefully smaller, because at my age, I can't remember lines that well anymore.
I haven't been able to remember lines for years. I just tape them all over the stage and tell the actors here, just don't turn towards the audience so I can see my lines.
You can't carry a clipboard in every show. Oh, yes, I can.
Oh, yes, I can.
No, I can't think of any bucket list roles. I can't think of
That's a very valid answer. You can choose this person either dead or alive, but is there any one person that you want to perform on stage with?
Ooh. You mean here locally or anywhere?
Anywhere. Just, is there any actor or actress you've ever seen in your life that you just say, hey, I wanted to be on stage with them?
Well, years ago when I used to have a hobby of writing the stars. I'd write to them, and I actually had a pretty good collection of letters that different ones would send me back. And anybody that knows me well enough knows that Shirley Booth was probably one of my heroes, or not heroes, but I think the greatest actress ever. And I looked and looked and looked for the longest time to get an operative address to get in touch with her. And of all people, another great actress that I was writing back and forth with, Geraldine Page, she found her address and sent it to me. And I was able to get in touch with Ms. Booth, not about 10 years before she passed away. So yeah, I'd like to have, of course, just met her. Working with her, she'd have run me off the stage probably. But and oddly enough, is not an actor, but I used to want to be. I've been a huge Billy Joel fan, and I remember my wife and I were at one of his concerts here in town, and I said I would take being a backup singer for him. I would love to have backed up, because he was getting older on that tour, and some of the high notes he couldn't hit anymore. And I said, I'm your guy. I'll stand back there and you can pay me to hit that one note. But I'd like to have done more of the Wits Other End skits with some of the Wits Other End players. I got to do 1 or 2 years of it several years ago with Jack and Boots, and I'd love to do some of that stuff I'd love to have done some of that stuff with that group.
Very cool. I know you're getting ready to retire from your day job with the railroad, and congratulations, by the way, on that. What do you have planned to do in your retirement?
I think just breathe for a little bit. I've worked since I was, I guess, 13 or 14, and I've been so used to having my hands in 15 different things at once here on the railroad for 30 plus years. I know it's going to be like a vacuum when I walk away in a couple of weeks, but I really don't have anything that I'm looking towards. I would like to eventually wind up on the beach in Panama City working at Thomas Donuts.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, or even next door at the little Carousel Grocery. But right now, I'm actually looking. There's a landscaping company about 5 minutes from my house, and they've been doing my yard service for probably 10 or 12 years now. And I talked with them Monday morning, maybe about just working in their nursery or whatever. Just something something I know now. When I hit that time clock in the afternoon, I leave it there.
Right.
Here, and I'm not complaining because it's been a godsend for 30 plus years, but now it's with me all the time.
Right.
I fought getting a laptop for many years because I knew once I got the laptop, it was around the clock, and it has been. But I want it to just something where if I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. But I think for a while, just catch my breath.
Nice.
See what comes my way. Play a lot of golf. Oh yeah, have to do that.
That's a good walk wasted.
Oh boy.
Tell me something about yourself even your close friends wouldn't know.
Wow. Let's see. I've always had the in the back of my mind. I love vintage cars, from 1950s, from say, I've always said that from about 1951 to maybe 65 or 66, for me, that was the golden age. I grew up like, you know, a lot of boys. I had a huge collection of Matchbox cars. Didn't care for Hot Wheels. Now I had a lot of Hot Wheels, but to me, that was a vintage car that had been modified. I don't want them modified. I want them restored. So that's why I was more keen on the Matchbox cars. And so I don't know. I'll see one at the golf course Monday. There was I think it was a 61 Chevy Impala that was just beautiful, but it had been modified. And I was like, you know, to me, that's just, for me, it's a waste. I'd like to see it back just as it was when it came off the production line. So that's always been in the back of my mind. You know, I'd like to have, my dad had a 1953 Mercury that I got one of the worst whippings of my life over because I played with it, tore the hood up. I mean, just pull the hood right off the hinges. But anyway, after he whipped me a year later for that same thing, you know, you tend to move past. It's a wonder I even drive a car after that. I guess that, you know, I'd love to restore them or see the process of one being restored from the junk heap to back when it first come off the assembly line. That'd be cool.
Isn't your current car an antique? Doesn't it have like 900,000 miles on it?
Yeah, my little S10 truck, my girl. Yeah, I bought her new after my big truck flooded. My house flooded 20 years ago, actually, this month. Yeah, she's been fantastic. God knew that I was going to have something to be reliable and faithful, and she just crossed 383,000 last week.
Nice.
Going to retire me and her both here in the next couple of
There you
weeks.
go.
She don't go out on weekends. She's, you know, she puts her foot down there. We don't go out.
Well, you know, at that age, we got to slow down a little bit. Do you ever get recognized from your stage performances when you go out on the town? And have you ever, do you have a favorite moment of meeting an audience member after a show?
Yeah, you know, every now and then, but not to any great extent. One funny one, it's been a year ago, a little over a year ago now, I did a really, really small part of the coach in High School Musical for Red Mountain. And one night after the show, I was in the lobby. It was at the Cabaret downtown, and I was waiting on, I think my family was there, but some of my family was there, but I was waiting, and this couple come up to me and they said, "We love your work. We have always loved your work." Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you. No, really, we have seen it. The work you did in The Producers was phenomenal. But I think when you did Drowsy Chaperone, that's what sold us. Everything you do, we're right there to support you. And I thanked them very politely. And when they left, the lady standing next to me, I said, "I was not in either one of those shows." And she said, "Well, you were so nice." I said, "Well, I'm going to take the compliment, you know." But clearly they have me confused with somebody else. So that's usually the extent of my recognition. "You were great in that show." Wasn't in it.
Wasn't there, but thank you. I'll let the real actor know you said hello.
Yeah, that's always makes the heart feel good.
Of all the roles you've performed, do you have a favorite and a least favorite?
Well, my favorite, I've said from the beginning, and it always has been, was Alan Swan in My Favorite Year. I had a great time, a really, really good time with that role. And I thought it was a great show, and it was it just, for whatever reason, it didn't sell. But I loved the show. I loved the role. I was fortunate enough to work opposite the great Christy Tingle Higginbotham a couple of years ago in Gypsy. I played Herbie, and just to work opposite, you know, pros like that. And then the next year opposite Jan Hunter and Hello Dolly. So those, I did a production years ago with Red Mountain. They were still Summerfest then. It was a musical about the Andrews sisters from the war years, the big band years. And it was the three ladies, the three sisters, and the man. And I played the man. And that was a great show in a lot of reasons. But for me personally, I played like 18 different characters, anywhere from Johnny Carson to Woody Woodpecker to Carmen Miranda, to oh gosh, I can't. There were so many costume changes that Keith gave me my own dresser. And once we got called to places, I never stopped until the end of that show. And this poor girl that he paid to just be my dresser, she saw really more than anybody should have ever had to deal with. But I loved that show, and I was proud of that one because it was so much going on, because literally there would be times when I would come off stage, she would strip me down, dress me up. She said, now this is your character, go here. And and so at the end of that show, it was I was exhausted, of course, but I really enjoyed that one. Howie and Rabbit Hole years ago, opposite the great Charlie Cochran. Oh man, that was a tough work, but it was a great work. I enjoyed that one. You said least favorite?
Least favorite.
I've been really fortunate. I've enjoyed just about all of. I guess the only one that comes to mind is, and it has nothing to do because of the show or the cast or anything, but several years ago I did a production of The Crucible, but it was when my brother was gravely ill at that time, and why I even committed to do the show I don't know, but I really don't remember anything about it. I just remember my mind was elsewhere,
Yeah.
So if I have a least favorite, I guess that would be it. But not because of any direction, cast, or theater or whatever. It was just I really had no business doing anything with that.
Yeah, and I completely understand, because I think my worst memory revolves around the same thing: losing a family member and while working on a show. It had nothing to do with the show.
The show, right?
But it just left bad memories.
Right. Yeah.
What is your favorite theater story?
Oh, there's so many. Oh gosh. Let's see. We were doing a production of Oliver for Red Mountain years ago, and Vicki Goldstein, who I adore Vicki Goldstein. I mean, who doesn't? But I was Mr. Brownlow, who wound up being Oliver's grandfather. And Vicki was Mrs. Bedwin, my housekeeper. And here we are one night, BST, you've got 5,000 people out there. And Vicki's line, I'm starting to put it together now that Oliver may be my grandson. And I've got this locket, and it's got a picture of my daughter, Agnes, in there. Yeah, I called her over. I said, you see who this is? And she says, why, yes, it's Mrs. Bedwin, which was who she was. and she said, who? And so you're out there and all these people. And so I started laughing, in this middle of this very serious thing. So when I was finally able to get off stage, I was having to go all the way around, go upstairs to London Bridge to find a dead body up there in the next scene. And I couldn't move. I was just doubled over laughing, She's like, oh my God, I've ruined the show. I'm like, Vicki, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, and I love it. There was another one. We did a concert reading of The Music Man with the symphony. And I was in the quartet. It was me, David Coker, Don Garrett, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But that afternoon's rehearsal, Cromwell had already told us, you guys didn't have a good rehearsal today. You sounded bad. Your timing was off. This needs to be stopped before tonight. We need to get this together for the show tonight. So already under pressure. So right before we go on our first little time to stroll on and sing our little barbershop harmony, we're like, where's our pitch pipe? We couldn't find the pitch pipe. Well, when Don, he found the pitch pipe, but when we're all shaky, so he finds the pitch pipe and he blows our note. Well, he blows the pitch pipe out of his hand and it hits the floor and just springs and stuff going everywhere. So we go on in whatever key, And I thought, well, this will be the first and last time that we'll ever work with the symphony. You can just hear the director going, I'm in the right key. I don't know where these guys are. But yeah, there were springs and parts of that pitch pipe I don't think they ever found. He just blew it right out. There it went. That was a night to remember. Yes.
I think I saw that show.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
I wondered what that sound was off stage. I was lucky enough to work with you on a single day tour of the show Second Samuel, and we took it to West Alabama. What do you remember about that experience?
Well, that was an odd one. I remember we were, they had told you that we were just going to have a house full. It was just going to be packed. Oh my gosh, they were going to be hanging from the rafters, and the balcony had never been used and was going to be used that night. And we hit places, and we'd go out there, and there were what, maybe 10 people?
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe.
And we were, it was fun to get just to do the show again. But I was I think we were all, or I guess I was a bit disappointed that there weren't any more there than that, because that was a lot of effort,
Oh yeah.
All the way down there, and didn't we stay the night? Did we stay the night?
No,
remember.
I can't remember if we stayed the night or not, or if we just drove over first thing in the morning and put the setup during the day, and then struck it after the show, packed it all up in the truck, and left.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, but it was fun. It was a good show. It was a good cast.
It was a wonderfully fun time, because I actually got to be on stage with y'all that night.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, looking at it, an audience of 5, it's like, wow. Okay, so much for the great big tour of West Alabama.
Right.
Well, I've had the pleasure of directing you on a few occasions, and I love how you worked with me as part of the creative process and making the characters that you brought to life on stage. What is your favorite part of the work that goes into rehearsals?
I guess, it's a small town, and it's a small theater crowd. It's gotten a lot bigger over the years, but, I guess meeting the cast, meeting new folks in the cast that you hadn't known before, or you had no information on, no knowledge of, working with some that you really like, and that you're glad to get to work with again, or maybe it's the first time I've gotten to work with this particular actor or actress, and looking forward to doing that. But aside from all of that, after all of that, I guess is just watching how the cast builds its chemistry. You build that chemistry, and then you go through the blocking process, which I despise. I mean, that's just the part. You got to do it. I mean, you have to do it, but you're trying to, where's your lines, what page, wait, all right, now go over there. And it's just that part that gets on my nerves, but it's the part you have to go through. But I guess just watching how the cast builds chemistry, and thankfully, I don't really remember over the years being in hardly 2 or 3 shows where it didn't work. Where we had a cast that everybody wanted to go another way. I don't want to socialize. I don't just, if you don't mind, I'll just sit over here and be quiet. I really haven't had a lot of that, thankfully. But I guess seeing the chemistry come together, seeing your cast come together, watching the show come together, from on stage, as well as the props, the set, watching all that being brought together. Because, you start out, there's the bare stage, and the director will say, well, here's the schematic. If this is how I want the set to look, you're going to make entrances here. There'll be a door up here. And then watching it over the weeks, there it is, and then just seeing the director's vision. Guys, this is how, if you've seen a production of this show, if you've seen it 15 times, or if you've seen it once, this is my vision of it, and let's do it this way. However you've done it before, let's just scratch that right now. Let's try a different route. Let's do my route. And I like that's the fun process. And really for me, it's over much too quick.
Oh yeah.
It's over. And the fascinating thing about that again is after the last show, within 20 minutes, the set's already taken down. It's just completely a memory now.
Yeah, and it's one of the few crafts in the world where once it's there and the audience comes in and enjoys it, it evaporates. It's really gone, because even if you tape a show, it's still, watching it doesn't have the same energy that you had while working on it.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but it is very joyful thing to see that come alive right before your eyes.
Oh yeah.
It's magical.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to end the same way as Inside the Actors Studio ends their show, which is basically what I'm ripping off doing these. So I'm going to have 10 questions for you. You just answer them as honestly as you like, and we'll go from there.
Yep.
What is your favorite word?
Boom. Wherever Ben Burford is, he's like, don't say that. Quit saying it. I hate you when I say that.
What is your least favorite word?
Oh, it would have to be the Lord's name in vain. I can't take that. I don't like that.
What turns you on?
Well, just rated. Again, a great day on the golf course, great day on the beach.
What turns you off?
Feet. Feet are disgusting. They're disgusting. Mine are disgusting. Everybody's feet are disgusting. I can't stand feet. Yuck.
What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh. Making a putt and hearing the ball go in the cup going, the ocean, just on the beach, just the sound of the beach and the ocean together. Great sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Cats.
Don't say cats. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I somebody blowing their nose. I hate that, and grinding their teeth, but it had to be cats. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with cats.
Oh. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, gosh. Well, one tries not to. But I think it's got to be shit. When it's made into a 3-syllable word, that's a really good one there. When you can stretch a 4-letter word into a 3-syllable word, you're really cussing then. You've learned, and I think that's mainly a Southern thing too. I think we've cornered that one, but that's I love to hear a good production of that word.
Oh, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Something that would be attainable. Probably working in landscaping. Probably working at Thomas Donuts in Florida. Like I said, I mean, what a way to go! What a great way to end your existence is sitting on the beach with a half-eaten donut. I mean, with that. Just something, I've had such a great career. I've been blessed with it for many years. So I think I've had the best. So anything from here on, wherever he puts me, it'll be fine.
Nice. What profession would you not like to do?
Roofing. I want to be a roofer, or, as going back to another answer, a pedicurist. Can you imagine?
Oh.
Pedicurist, foot doctor. No. No.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Places.
Nice. Oh, mercy. Well, thank you so much, my friend, for taking the time out to do this with me. I'm just going to try and get as many folks as I can and interview them and just visit with them and let them know how much I care for them, because right now, I think we all need as much friendship as we can get, because I sure am missing folks.
Yep. Well, thank you, Clay. I appreciate you doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Any evening spent with you is always well worth it. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, because that was my big fear the other night.
Christie's was really good. I enjoyed it.
I said good night to Christy. I stopped the recorder, went to where I thought it was supposed to be, empty. I was like, oh, do not tell me I just did an hour interview and forgot to hit the record button. Vicky comes walking in and I'm in a panic going, sweet mother of God, I can't find my file. And then she said, well, calm down. look at your settings. And I went, oh, that's right. I changed it to go to another drive so I can protect it. We're good.
Oh boy, that'd be awful, wouldn't it? What a great interview. Nobody will ever see it.
No one will ever know but me.
No one will ever see it.
All righty, let's go here, and I'm going to try and keep the reflection from blinding you.